Yes, boys. Today's video, 5 reasons why you may have hit a plateau in the gym. Someone requested this on one of my last YouTube videos yesterday. So, quick turnaround. We've made the video. I thought this would be really, really useful. What I want to talk about in this specific video is pretty much when it comes to plateauing with your lifts in a gym. For example, if people are wanting to increase their bench, increase their squat, increase their deadlift, certain weights on certain exercises, and they are struggling to do so, this video is specific for that. And as a result, it's also going to help you if you are in a gaining phase and you are trying to gain more body weight and you are plateauing with that, because the two are highly correlated. What this isn't for is a video on what to do if you've plateaued with fat loss. I mean, I can go into that and perhaps make a separate video, but the truth is, when you are in a plateau when it comes to fat loss, you just need to do more cardio or eat less food. Simple as that. But that's not what we're talking about with this video. What we're talking about with this video is about strength and how to make sure that you're consistently getting stronger and break through plateaus. So we'll keep it nice and simple and get straight into it. So number one is overtraining. Training 5 to 6 times per week. Now, this is a mistake that not many people realize they make, because you can get away with it at the start. For example, when I first started the gym, I did push-pull legs 6 times per week, as pretty much everyone does when they first get into the gym. And the truth is, you can get away with it. Reason why is because your body's pretty much on steroids in the first couple of years of lifting. You can do whatever you want, and you can the response that happens with your muscles is insane. But most people realize after the first year or two, the newbie gains subside, you gain your first 10 kilo, and you realize, okay, now we need a different approach. We need a new degree of training. And you realize that the only way to do so is to be training at 100% intensity. You need to be pushing to failure, and ideally past failure. Close to failure is the bare minimum. So you want to be doing that. And when you're doing this on a consistent basis and you're getting stronger and you're lifting more weight, you're putting the same amount of weight through the same central nervous system. And as a result, it becomes very difficult to carry that degree of intensity across 6 sessions per week. I can explain this very, very simply. If we were to be benching 100 kg on Monday, and then back rowing 100 kg on Tuesday, and then squatting and deadlifting 100 kg on Wednesday, resting on Thursday, repeating that process, yes, our muscles may recover, our individual muscles may recover, but it's still the same amount of load you're putting through your central nervous system. And your body's ability to actually push that weight and create actual stimulus response, like the actual effect on your nervous system, is pretty profound. It's a very big impact, and as a result, it is going to cause you to feel worn out, just not even just with the muscular load, but like you're actually just going to feel more tired. And as a result, you will find that you will plateau quicker and you will have to take more frequent deloads. So doing 6 times per week is likely going to cause you to destroy your CNS if you are training at the desired 100% intensity. If you can train 6 times per week, but you've got to understand your intensity will drop as a result. And I can just do this very simple calculation with you. If we were to do 4 days at 100%, we would literally get net 400% at the end of the week. Quick maths, right? But if we were to do 6 sessions of 60%, which is likely what would happen if you were to do this for a prolonged period of time, you would get 360%. And that's probably not mathematically accurate, but it's just, you see what I'm coming from? It just makes sense to get more bang for your buck by doing 4 intense sessions or 5 intense sessions and allowing yourself that extra day of rest. Because when does muscle actually grow? When we recover, right? So it's really, really important to understand that. And when you're training 6 days per week, you're only allowing for 1 day off. And remember, your central nervous system, it takes longer to recover. So it's really, really important that we're prioritizing this and we're looking into that when we're obviously trying to increase our lifts. That can be indicator number 1. We're just potentially overtraining. So look into that, and the solution is just bring your training down to 4 to 5 times per week of 100% intensity. Now, full body is always going to be your best split when you're first starting out, but I think from an enjoyment perspective, upper lower is probably a bit better. Upper lower 4 times per week with 3 rest days is probably your best bet and will allow you to get enough rest and train at 100% intensity. If you're currently doing 6 days a week push-pull legs and you're noticing consistent plateaus with your lifting, switch to that. That's number 1, and that will really, really help. When I did this, everything changed. So that's number 1. Now, moving on to number 2. Coming off the back of that, it could be time for a deload. If you're finding that your strength is simply not increasing, it may be an indicator that your CNS needs a break. And there's a really, really easy way to tell. If you've been doing what I've just said and you've been pushing to failure, training past your limits and pushing by 100%, you have to realize that's not a linear form of progression. You cannot just consistently do that. Otherwise, we would just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Eventually, your nervous system has to have a break. So if you've noticed that you've been training pretty hard for the last 4 to 6 months, and for the last 2 months you're not seeing progress, it's because you probably need a deload week. And I can prove this. Ever notice when you go on holiday or you take a week off and you come back to the gym and you think you've lost strength, but you're actually stronger? Why? It's because you've just given yourself so much rest. And we need to make this habit where we actually give ourselves more rest. As a rule of thumb, what I like to do is every 12 to 16 weeks, every 3 to 4 months, just take a week off the gym. And I don't mean don't go to the gym completely. I mean go, but do literally 90%, how do I say this? 10% of the load you were lifting. So drop the intensity by 90%. Do literally like 5 kilogram on every single movement, and just really focus on your form, and just treat this as a time to find little gaps in your training blocks, you know, in certain exercises that can be improved. Focus on your form and allow your body to recover. Focus on some cardio, focus on some mobility here. And what you'll notice is by doing so, you are going to be taking 1 step backwards to essentially go 2 steps forwards. You're going to allow yourself that rest that you need and deserve in order to make more progress. And this is a really good tip. Something that I do for myself and incorporate for all of my clients. Just take 3 to 7 days off every 12 to 16 weeks. That's why the majority of bodybuilders have training blocks and have used periodization. It's something you should look into, because for you to assume that progress is just linear is pretty naive. You've got to understand that eventually there will be some form of plateau, and the reason why is probably because we're overtraining and we put our nervous system under a little bit too much stress, in which case we just need to take a step back, take a little bit of foot off the gas, chill out for a bit, and then come back even stronger. It always works, I'm telling you. So if you are really finding it hard to push your lifts, and you are feeling mentally fatigued, you are feeling just knackered and tired, take that deload. You will always serve you. 1 step backwards, 2 step forwards. Now, number 3, improper form, tempo, and execution. So if we're talking from a hypertrophy standpoint, right, the way we're going to get stronger is simply by building more muscle. Simple as that, right? And if we're not executing the movements right, we can get away with it for a little bit, but eventually once we hit a brick wall, we're likely not going to be building any more muscle mass. If we're not able to push past a certain amount of weight, it's because we're not building much muscle. And that can come down to a load of different reasons. The past few 100% included, it can definitely be down to rest. But it can also be down to the fact that we're not actually executing with the right form. And sometimes you have to ask yourself, if I'm struggling to get past this weight, is it because my form is not in the right place? And often this is the case. And there's a simple solution to this, which is just filming your sets and reviewing them. But if you're not basically completing each exercise with the actual degree of tempo and control that you need, then you're just kind of building this false illusion in your mind that you're progressing, but really you're progressing with shit form. So eventually it's going to be, your progress is going to be capped. Eventually you are going to have to come back down and realize, okay, we should progress with the correct foundations, and this is something you need to get early, so you're not going up and down and up and down. 9 times out of 10 you will need to review your form before trying to push your weights up. And if there's anything that you can do to improve, such as getting those extra seconds within the rep, if you can slow that movement down, if you can really focus on the mind to muscle connection, what you're going to do is get a better response from the movement, and consequently you're going to stimulate more growth and you're going to grow more muscle. And what's that going to do? It's going to allow you to get stronger, which means when you come back to that weight a little bit later on, it will become easier. So that's something that you need to think about. There's immediate strength, such as us focusing on powerlifting and trying to lift as much as possible, but then us also understanding that if we're going to be able to lift more weight and we're going to be able to progress, we need to be having the right amount of, the right correct form. I've noticed when I find it hard to get past a certain weight, there's a lot of different reasons, but one of the big reasons is because my form was not in the right place. I was just trying to climb the ladder too quickly and progress my weight so quickly that I jeopardized my form as a result. And consequently, yes, I fed my ego. Yes, I progressed on the sheet on the app. But in terms of muscle growth, not really. And that's now showing in my actual lifts. I'm not actually able to produce any more force simply because I haven't been growing more muscle, and the reason why is because my form hasn't been the main focus. So that's always something you need to be thinking about. And just remember, right, when we're bodybuilding, when we're trying to build more muscle and hypertrophy is the goal here, any form of improvement in form is progressive overload in my eyes. I'm not saying every week should be spending going backwards and perfecting your form. There should be a couple of weeks where this may be the case, but if you're slowing down the movement, and if you're making it harder for yourself, and if you're getting better mind to muscle connection and controlling, don't beat yourself up and think, oh, I've dropped the weight here. It is actually an improvement for you because you're now making it harder. You got to understand, if you're doing, 2 to 3 second reps times 10 in a set, you're doing 30 seconds per set. If we instantly change that to 6 seconds per rep and then do those same 10 reps, we're now doing 60 seconds. So we're putting our muscles under double the amount of stress, perhaps with less weight, but we're always going to get a better response from that. And in my eyes, that's challenging yourself much more than you did last week, and that's making it harder. So you've got to understand, again, it's a case of sometimes we have to go one step backwards to move 2 steps forwards. And it's a case of, if you really want to make sure that this is not a reoccurring theme and a common pattern, ideally one, have a training partner who looks out for you, but I understand we don't always have training partners with us. In which case, just film your sets and just watch yourself. Am I really controlling this movement? A really good way I like to think about it is like, move the weight, don't let the weight move you. If you're controlling the weight and everything looks nice and by the book and organised, then happy days. If for whatever reason it isn't, you need to sit back and say, right, we need to improve that. And that's really going to help with your whole training intensity and the growth stimulation side of things. So we split this up into 1 rest, 2 now training intensity. And now I'm going to speak about something that's really, really important, which is probably one of the main reasons why you're plateauing. And it's simply not enough food. So more often than not, if you're not getting stronger, and it's not down to what we spoke about, you've done everything there, but you're still not getting strong enough, you simply need more food. First indicator that you need more food is that your body weight is not going up. If your body weight is not going up, it's very, very likely that you're not going to get stronger. So simply what you need to do, you just need to up the level of carbohydrates until that plateau sorts itself out. So no matter what phase you're in, if you're in a deficit or you're in a surplus, your protein pretty much needs to stay the same. If anything, in the deficit, it needs to be a little bit higher. So your protein stays the same. Your fats are fairly interchangeable. Obviously, they will increase by a certain percentage dependent on how many calories you're consuming. But sorry, the actual percentage will stay the same, but the actual grams will increase. The main thing when you're increasing your calories, you're trying to increase, is you're not trying to increase more protein, and you're not really trying to increase more fats ever so slightly. You're trying to increase your carbohydrates. So what you want to be doing is essentially realizing, right, if I'm not actually progressing and I've looked at my training intensity, I've looked at all of my rest and my recovery, and nothing's really happening, then now we need to bring our body weight up. And what we need to do is we just simply need to give our muscles more glycogen. And the way you do that is just through more carbohydrates. As you do this, you'll pretty much have more energy. Carbohydrates give you more energy, which means you'll get stronger. And you'll be able to lift more weight. And you'll start to see the scales go up as a result. This is why in a deficit it becomes harder to hold on to strength. Right now, I'm in a crucial phase of a deficit where strength is going. It's pretty demoralizing, I can't lie. I've never really had this before, but now it's really, really going. And the reason why is I'm just not consuming many carbs. I'm having around 200 gram of carb on my training day, maybe 300 gram, and then around 150 on my non-training day. And I'm doing a lot of cardio, so I just don't have enough food in my system. That's why it's harder to hold on to strength, which is the exact same opposite, the same reason why you may hit a plateau. You just may not have enough food in your system. So the more carbohydrates you consume, the easier it is for you to get stronger and bring your body weight up. So what I would suggest is monitor your scales. And if you are just seeing on a weekly basis that your weight isn't going up, it's a clear sign to me that you need to increase your calories by 100 to 200 or so. And the way we do that is through the form of carbohydrates. So if you're going to increase your calories by 200, and we know 1 gram of carbohydrate weighs is 4 calories, well, we just simply add around 50 grams of carbohydrates, which is going to be, some more oats or whatever it is, an extra bit of rice, whatever that may be. And as a result, you will notice improvements in your performance. So that's kind of what I'd say, not enough food. And then finally, a bit of a niche one, but not warming up properly. A lot of people, including myself, have done this, is shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to certain movements. And it may be because, one, you're going into the working sets without actually any degree of warm-up. So your muscles are just kind of cold, they're not ready. So it's a bit of a shock to the system. Or 2, during your warm-ups, you're actually causing too much fatigue. So what I like to do is, on every single session, I do some light activation work prior to the actual session. So on a chest day, I'll just do chest flies on like the lowest cable setting, really, really focusing on form just to get some blood flow into the chest. On my back days, I'll do some lat pullovers to pre-exhaust the lats, really, really light. On both of my leg days, I'll just do about 5 minutes on the bike, and that way I'm warming up the muscles. Then on my first exercise, we're going to need some warm-up sets because obviously we're going into this first exercise just kind of fresh out the gate. So what I like to do is aim for around 1 to 3 maybe feeder sets, pretty much to gauge the intensity and depending on how we're feeling, you know, whether we got a good sleep or whatever it is, before my working sets for the first few exercises. After that, after the first 2 exercises, I don't need to keep doing these warm-up sets. The reason why is because once I've taken my muscles, so for example, we'll talk about the chest here. Once I've taken my chest to failure on 2 separate exercises through 2 working sets, it's pretty fucking warm. I don't need to do any more warm-up sets. So I'm just going to get on with the session and get shit done. And here's how I would do things. So if my first exercise on bench press was 2 working sets, one of 8 to 10 and one of 12 to 15, and last week I did 100 kg for 8 and 90 kg for 15, it's exactly what I would do. So I'd start my session with 2 to 3 sets of cable flies just to warm up, a bit of activation work, put a bit of blood flow in the chest, do my stretches, a bit of resistance band work, and then I would do the following. Because I'm trying to basically hit 100 kg for 10 to complete that rep range, I'm going to basically structure it like this. I'm going to start with the bar because it's just logical, do around 12 reps really nice and slow just to get a feel for the movement. Then I'm just going to put 2 20s on. Realistically, you should probably go to 40, but I just find it easier to go for 60. Then I'll go at 60, do around 8 reps there. That's not causing too much fatigue because my top set is 100. It's very far away. And then as I get closer, I don't want to do that jump from 60 to 100 because that's still going to cause a bit of a shock on my muscle. So I need to meet in the middle and go 80. But the mistake people make is doing 80 for 10 here, which is then going to actually cause quite a lot of fatigue, which means I can't take 100 for 8. So I'll do 80 for 1 to 3 reps, depending on how I feel. And I will let that indicate what I'm going to go for. And if I'm getting a good response from that and I'm feeling good, then I'll go 100 kg for 8. And I'll do that or whatever. So sorry, if I did 100 kg for 8, I'll try and break that and push 100 kg for 10. And if I'm doing everything right, I should be hitting that. And then I did 90 kg for 15. So I've hit the rep range. I'm going to go 92.5 and I'm going to try and go anywhere between 12 to 15. That's how I would do things. And then in my next set, I probably do 1 warm-up set, go straight into my working sets as such, and then no more warm-up sets. And then the reason why is I'm removing all junk volume from doing so, which means I'm actually getting the best bang for my buck. And I'm also allowing myself to warm up. So 2 things to consider. Are you warming up correctly? And 2, are you causing yourself too much fatigue with your warm-ups? Understand those things, and you will stop yourself from plateauing when it comes to strength. And as a result, you will gain more muscle. So I think those are the 5 things that I think cover everything. I don't think there's anything more. If you do think there's anything more you want to add, drop it in the comments. But I hope that was useful to the lad who commented the other day, and I hope that did help. If you want to see any more videos or you do have anything that you recommend to me that you want me to make, please do let me know. But yeah, I really hope that was useful. Any struggles, any questions, drop them in the comments. If you are someone who's plateauing for a while and you really do want to build your physique and take it to a next level, feel free to reach out in the description, fill out my application below, and I'm more than happy to get in touch. But other than that, boys, today's video is sorted. We will be back tomorrow. I've planned it already tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to get rid of the myth of should we cut out carbs, because it pisses me off. So many people ask about it and they just know what they're talking about. So I'm going to go into that one. Drop a subscribe if you're excited for that one, because I'm excited to make that video. It's going to be good. But I hope this video was useful, guys. I will see you tomorrow. All the best.